Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Healthy Shift Worker TV. Now, this week I want to talk about becoming the CEO or the Chief Executive Officer of your health and why this is so incredibly important. Now, if you are new to these videos, welcome. My name is Audra Starkey. I am the CEO and founder of the Healthy Shift Worker, and I work with shift workers and shift working organisations to run educational programs to help to improve their health and well-being. So, becoming the Chief Executive Officer or CEO of your health, and why this is so important, especially right now with what's going on, with everything that's going on in the world. Of course, we need to establish what are some of the roles and responsibilities of a CEO. Well, they're quite varied and endless, but of course there'll be things like financial, marketing, being aware of new opportunities, any existing and new opportunities on the market, also potential competitors or threats that obviously could actually affect the profitability of their business. At the end of the day, they really need to have a bit of a big picture of what's going on, and of course it's highly likely that they may delegate out some of these responsibilities, but they will still always have an overview, that big picture of what is going on. And this is really critical, because if a CEO just has like a one laser focused on one aspect of their business, this can actually be quite dangerous. If they're focused just on the marketing side of getting the word out there about their business. Excuse me. But they actually haven't noticed a new competitor coming on into the market, that could actually end up being being a financial disaster. So as I said, it's important that they have this overview. A bit like, and I'll use this as an example, as an analogy, and I'm not recommending that you actually do this, but it's just to illustrate what I'm saying, is that if you were to stand on a train track, and look towards one direction to see if the train's coming, because you've just got this one laser focus on one thing, well, you're not going to see what's happening behind you, and maybe the train's coming from that direction instead of the one that you're looking at. So it's just important to be stepping back and looking things from a big picture perspective, and the same applies to your health. Of course, there are many different aspects to our health and well-being. Our nutritional status, obviously, how well we're sleeping, our psychological and emotional health and well-being, our physical fitness, our social, how much social interaction that we have, because we know that that's incredibly important to our health and well-being. Our financial fitness is also really key as well, because we know that if we're not keeping an eye on that, then obviously that can affect our health and well-being from a stress kind of perspective. There's just a lot of different areas that we must be aware of when it comes to our health and well-being, and keeping an eye on and looking after all of those areas. And sometimes it's going to require, again, a little bit of outsourceness, so to speak, to get some help. For example, if you're needing some help with your nutrition, we want to make things easy for you. Maybe it might mean that you do need to see a nutritionist, or looking at different ways that you can make things easier for you by buying some great kitchen gadgets that are going to help to save your time, or perhaps from a physical fitness perspective or a flexibility perspective. If you've become a bit stiff and sore, I know that I do when it gets cold, maybe you need to be looking at areas to improve that by looking at maybe doing some Pilates, or maybe doing some yoga, just seeking out different ways by listening to your body when we get these signs and symptoms, and not ignoring them, to make sure that we're keeping a good hold of our overall health and well-being. Of course, from a financial health perspective, super important. Maybe that might require getting some advice, from a financial advisor. But the most important thing is that when it comes to our health and well-being, we can't, and it's like any CEO, we can't put our head in the sand and sort of ignore what's going on around us. We have to be attuned to everything. We might not know exactly what's going on, but it's important that we're attuned to some of the things that might be going on so that we can then look at some strategies to safeguard, our health and well-being. And also, again, also looking at maybe we can refer to new opportunities for ways to improve your health and well-being. So looking at different strategies, for example, for pain might be going down the route of acupuncture, kinesiology, myotherapy. Like, there's all different modalities that can actually help with treating pain. It's not always necessarily be about taking a pill, because that can really suppress the symptoms. You want to really get to the root cause and then find out ways that you can then hopefully eradicate it completely and improve your health and well-being that way. So I just wanted to talk about that topic because I think it's really relevant at the moment. It's really easy to kind of just focus on one thing, but when it comes to our health and well-being, it's not an ideal situation. We always need to have a big picture of our health and well-being so that we can then make the right decisions and strategies basically moving forward for our long-term health and well-being. And I'm not saying it's easy. There is no magic pill either. It does take hard work. Those are people that actually will tell you that staying healthy is easy. I actually would disagree with that, especially if you work shift work. It is not easy when you've got these erratic, crazy rosters. But it takes discipline, not motivation, because we lose motivation quite quickly. But we must be disciplined about our health because we only get one earth suit and one opportunity to take care of it. We certainly want to make sure that we are doing whatever we physically possibly can to improve and maintain our health in the long term, which will obviously enable us to be able to stay in our chosen shift working career for as long as we possibly can or wish to moving forward. I hope you found that interesting and a little bit insightful. If you've got any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me at my website, healthyshiftworker.com, or just send me an email at audra@healthyshiftworker.com. All right, see you next week.